What's next in global events? Third World War? The Rapture? A revival? The Great Tribulation? The body of Christ has been misinformed and misled for so long by the cunning craftiness of deceitful plotting. Once we understand God's eternal purpose for the earth and humanity, and then his pattern, principles, and plans, we will have an understanding about why things are going the way they are in the world. Enroll today for the next move of God course from the Kingdom University to find out and prepare for what is coming. With the enrollment, you will receive PDF versions of the 2 latest books by Abraham John, The Birthing of a Kingdom Nation, and What Happened to God. The online course starts on October 17th, 2024. To enroll, please visit www.thekingdomuniversity.org.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to everybody that is going to be watching this in the replay. Good afternoon, good night, no matter what time that you're in. Thank you for being here today. This is Mamlakak Broadcast Network, and I'm going to be giving a health bulletin, what for, so that you can keep your body healthy and optimal health, so you can fulfill the purpose that God has given for your life. Without health, we cannot do what God, sent us for, because this is the vessel where God worked through. So we need to keep it healthy. So today we're going to be talking about what is cancer and what is the root cause of cancer. So for some housekeeping rules that I wanted to give you, first of all, make sure that you get your pens and your notes, because you're going to be taking a lot of notes. And also keep your phone next to you so you can take pictures of the slides, because there's some information that you won't be able to jog it that fast. And if you take a picture, you're going to be able to keep it for later. And another thing that I want to give you is that today we're only discussing what is cancer and what are the causes, okay? Regarding the what to eat and what treatment to take and all that stuff, this is a series that we're going to be having every Tuesday at 11. So next Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about the food and supplements. And the following Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about the treatments, conventional versus alternative. And then the following Tuesday, we're going to be talking directly about breast cancer, okay? So let's start. Let's put up, producer, can you put the slides, please? Perfect. Okay, so like as you see, this is a cancer cell right here. And I don't know if you are aware, but according to a lot of scientists and according to the World Health Organization, cancer has become the second cause of death. Okay, and cancer have increased up to 10% more since the pandemic. So that's to give you some hint right there, okay, about what's going on, that cancer has increased 10% since the pandemic. Since everything that happened to during the pandemic, the amount of cancer have increased. So we need to take control of that so we don't get cancer. We need to do everything that we possibly can so we can avoid getting cancer. In order to do that, the best thing for us to do is learn what is cancer and what are the risk factors of cancer, so we can control the risk factors that we're able to control. Because the less risk, the less chance for us to get cancer. So that's why this information is vital in the prevention, okay, and even treatment of cancer, okay? So let's go to the next slide. So what is cancer? When we refer to cancer, cancer is it's characterized by many diseases. It's whenever a cell is in a normal cell have a normal division uncontrollably, that is cancer. That means that cell was damaged, and because the DNA was damaged, it's now causing a normal division. Because when it's damaged, it was not found by the immune system to be able to destruct it, and it just continued to grow because it became resistant to everything that is going on around it. So it was able to multiply over and over and over and over. It's a kind of an oxymoron, because what we really want is our cells to continue to divide. We are alive when our cells continue to divide, okay? But the thing is that this is the division on a normal cell and not a normal cell. So that's what is bad. We would like for our healthy cells to have the strength to resist the bacteria and viruses and everything that coming in, all the damage, all the toxins that we put in, all the bad foods and stuff like that. If we were able to do that, we would be living forever. But the fact is that The abnormal cells sometimes are not being caught by the immune system, are not going through the apoptosis process, which is the way that they get killed and out of the system, and that's why they cause the damage and cause the tumors and cause the cancer. So if you look at the picture here in this slide, you look the top part, you see that the first green little circle at the beginning, divide from another, and then you see the one with the red in the middle. That's the damaged one. So what happened to the damaged one? The system recognized it as a damaged one, and it caused apoptosis. I mean, suicide. It dies, and the red blood cells will eat up not the red blood cells. I'm sorry, the white blood cells will eat up the damage, and it's gone. Well, when that process doesn't happen, happens what happened in the bottom, that it keeps dividing until it becomes a tumor, and that's what we don't want. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So what is apoptosis? Apoptosis is a type of cell death in which a series of molecular steps in a cell led to the death. This is one method the body used to get rid of unneeded and normal cells. The process of apoptosis may be blocked in cancer cells. So what's happening, the reason why cancer is happening is because the bad cells or the damaged cells are not being killed, are not dying. They continue to live, even though they're damaged, continue to make more damage all around them. The thing about cancer cells is that they continue to grow and grow and grow, but they also continue to cause damage to the surrounding area. They are so contaminate, they contaminate the surrounding area in a way that then when the white blood cells are, passing around to check what is, what's not supposed to belong there, they don't recognize it as cancer and they don't recognize it as damage because it's covered by all the good cells around it. Because it used the manipulate the cells around them. It's like like the Bible taught not to be, with the people that are sinning and stuff like that, because otherwise sin is going to propagate all around you. The same thing happened to the cell. The cancer cell is formed here, but it's taking advantage of all the cells, manipulating the cells around it. Okay, and what it does is that now it's get covered, and the white blood cells don't see it, so that's why it keep growing and growing. So if apoptosis is not happening, then there's a problem, because then it's going to continue to grow damaged cells. And then what is autophagy? Autophagy is a process that keeps your body cells in proper balance by taking all or damaged components in a cell and recycling them. The recycled parts are tuned into amino acids that can be used for fuel or to form new proteins. So autophagy is a process that happens when you're fasting. There's a reason why God put fasting to be part of our form of living, of our daily life. Why? Because when you're fasting, you're giving a break to your cells to do all the repairing. So what happened when you do an autophagy, the cells will take the parts. Let's say, for example, in this particular cell, the mitochondria is not working right. The mitochondria is the energy part of the cell. So through the process, it will engulf it and take out the mitochondria and repair it. And the mitochondria will be used as proteins for other things. If not, it's going to be, secreted through an enzymatic process. And that's what happens. So when you are not getting your cell fixed because you're not getting enough sleep, because that happens a lot when you're sleeping and because you're not fasting, because we are constantly eating. So we don't have a time where the cells are in a break to be doing repair and cleaning. What happens is that more damaged cells is going to continue to be working and be converted into cancer. Now, these two processes, when the cells are happening and getting damages, it doesn't happen overnight, okay? It's a little damage and still working, a little damage and still working, and then the cascade of processes that need to be happening for apoptosis, it happens if everything goes right. Or the autophagy, if you're taking doing the fasting and sleeping right and stuff like that, will happen, and it will clean up the cancer cell. But if those two things have been disrupted somehow, some way, then it's not going to happen. Then the cancer will grow. Okay, so what can you do right now when we're talking about those two things? Making sure that you have all the nutrients that you need for the apoptosis process to happen, and making sure that you fast. And then people say, but I cannot fast. But listen, if you, for example, if you eat your breakfast at 8 in the morning, your lunch at 12, your dinner at 5, and you make sure that you don't eat anything else until the next morning at 8, you're going to have a good 14 hours there, 12 to 14 hours there of fasting. that's going to give a rest to the body so you can have some autophagy happen and some repairs in your cells happen. Okay? And you're still having your 3 meals a day. So you can do this. Let's go to the next. Now, we also have two other type of cells that are very controversial when it comes to cancer. We have what it calls senescent cells. What are senescent cells? They're like, we call it in the medical field, zombie cells. They're unique in that they eventually stop multiplying but don't die off when they should. They instead remain and continue to release chemicals that can trigger inflammation, like the one of moldy piece of fruit that corrupt the entire bowl. A relatively small number of senescent cells can persist and spread inflammation that can damage neighboring cells. So what is a senescent cell? It's a cell that stopped dividing. Might not be damaged the DNA might not be damaged, but it stopped dividing. And the key of life, okay, is for our cells to continue. The reason why we're alive because our cells are continuing dividing. The normal cells are continuing dividing, normally in the rate that they're supposed to. But when they stop, it's like when you're in coma. You're in coma, you're still alive, but you are not producing. That's what happened to the cells. The cells are like in coma. They're still alive, but they're not producing. But because they're not producing, what happened when things are stagnant and not moving? They putrefy. Okay, so what happened that then all the secretions and processes that go inside that cell, they're not the same anymore because they're not producing, and they're causing inflammation because they're secreting stuff to the extra spaces between the cells that are causing inflammation, because the cell is not working properly and it's secreting all these things, then an immune system causes inflammation to the area, and inflammation is one of the root causes of cancer. And of disease, of any chronic disease, inflammation. So it causes inflammation. What happened with inflammation is that it damages the whole area. It doesn't only damage that one cell that it's in senescent, but it will damage all areas. So we want to avoid having senescent cells. And how do you get senescent cells? Because all the chemicals that we put in, because we're not exercising normally, we get cells that they don't reproduce anymore. So that's why we need to make sure we avoid that. And then we have another type of cells that come into the cancer is cancer stem cells. So you know what stem cells are. Stem cells is the original cell that doesn't define yet for one part of the body is, and when the body need more cells in the liver, for example, then that go and form into a liver cell, and that one form into whatever, an arm cell, whatever you need, the stem cell will go there and repair. Okay, but you get cancer stem cells. So cancer stem cells are defined as a kind of cell that have the specific ability to self-renew, reinstate cancer, and reconstitute tumor cells. The origin of cancer stem cells suggests that they arise from normal somatic cells, which acquire stem-like characteristic and malignant behavior through genetic and heterotypic alteration. So what happened? This is a cell that just start damage, and then it multiply and create the original stem cells, and now they still have something malignant in it. Another way that you get cancer stem cells is after treatment of chemo. Okay, and the chemo didn't kill everything, then new cells will be formed, and it are called stem cells. Like, for example, it happened the same process that happened when you take an antibiotic. If you're taking an antibiotic and they gave you a treatment for 12 days and you only take it 10 days, well, you're going to be killing the majority of the bacteria. Okay, but there's some bacteria that become resistant. That bacteria one day will come back and you will get the same infection, but that antibiotic will not work for them anymore. The same thing happened with cancer. You get a chemo treatment, okay, that kill most of the cancer. For some reason you couldn't finish the treatment, or for some reason didn't kill all the cancer, and out of the original tumor, it's going to come some cancer stem cells. Those are the ones that flow around your system, and later, 2 years later, 3 years later, 4 years later, or 6 months later, you get a recurrent cancer or metastasis. Okay? So we want to avoid that as well. Let's go to the next. Okay. So there are 5 types of cancer. I mean, we know that there's many cancers depending on the type of the system of your body or the organ and things like that. But there's 5 types of cancer cells, and we have carcinoma, what is a malignancy of the epithelial cells, which made 90% of all cancer. We have sarcoma, which are rare in humans, are solid tumors of connective tissue such as muscles, bones, cartilage, and fibrous tissue. We got lymphoma, is a cancer of the lymphatic system. You know that the lymphatic system is the system that is parallel to your circulatory system that take all the garbage out of the system and clean up all the bacteria and work together with the immune system. So those are lymphomas. And then we have leukemia. You know that is cancer in the body of the blood, forming tissue, including the bone marrow. And it also includes the lymphatic system because the lymphatic system and the circulatory system work together. And then we have adenocarcinoma, which develop in organs of glands, which are harder to diagnose, making them more fatal. So those are the different types of cancer that we can find in our bodies. Okay, so let's go to the next one. And now let's find what are the root causes. Why do we get cancer? What are the root causes of cancer? So there's no one single cause for cancer, okay? There's no one thing. It's a multifactorial thing. It's an interaction of many factors together that produce cancer. The factors involved may be genetic, may be environmental toxicity, it may be constitutional characteristic or your physiology, okay? It can be lifestyle factor, mental and spiritual factor as well. Now, let me tell you that only 5 to 10% of all genetic cancers, it's only 5 or 10% the genetic that cancers are caused by genetics. Most of the cancer, which means 90 to 95%, are caused because of lifestyle factors, okay? Meaning that even the genetics, okay, even the genetics one are affected by the lifestyle, because the fact that you have, for example, let's say you have the BRCA gene, that's the one that said that you can have breast or ovarian cancer. Okay, the fact that you have that doesn't mean that you're going to have cancer. But if you're a person that doesn't have a healthy lifestyle and have other factors, have other comorbidities, other diseases, chronic diseases and stuff like that, then most likely you're going to get cancer. But if you are a very healthy person and you take care of the environment you're going to give to that gene, that's the study of epigenetic. Epigenetic says that you turn on and turn off your genes depending on the environment that you give to the genes. Okay? So you might have that gene, but that doesn't mean that you're 100% a chance of having cancer. That means that if you turn it on, yes, you're going to get cancer. So you have to watch out the environment that you give to that gene if you come positive of having that gene, okay, so that you can avoid the cancer. So it's very important that you know. So now let's go very deep, because telling people environmental toxins or telling people lifestyle factors or telling people what genetics, that's very general. I want you to know exactly some of the things that can be causing the cancer so that you be able to lower your risk as much as possible, meaning that you're going to be working with everything that you know you can control, okay? And the parts that you cannot control, then give it to God. Okay? So let's go to the next slide. Okay. This particular slide, I want you to take a picture. Okay, so if you're listening to me right now, take a picture. Of course, this is not a comprehensive list of all the genes that can cause cancer, but this is like the most common ones. And there's a list there that if you go and do some genetic testing, like if you go to 23andMe or some of those places that can do a genetic testing of your blood, and they come up with if you come up positive with one of those, then you can know exactly what are you at risk. Okay, which one of the genetics are you at risk? So the genetics increase your risk for cancer, but the genes need to be activated by the environment. So if you have other physiological, lifestyle, or environmental factors out of control, you will have a high chance of having cancer, like I was explaining before. If you already have other diseases, if you're already eating bad, if you're already all stressed, if you don't have any spiritual relationship with God and things like that, then you are going to activate those genes, and you most likely have a 90% chance of having that cancer. But if you're trying to do everything right and you're trying to control all the factors that you possibly can, most likely your risk of having that particular cancer is going to lower very much. Okay, doesn't guarantee it, but it's going to lower very much of you having that cancer. So sometimes some people said to me, oh, I don't know, I don't smoke, I didn't smoke, I didn't do this, and I have lung cancer. Yeah, but you might have other factors. Maybe you have the gene that have to do with that, or you have other factors that have nothing to do with smoking. Smoking is one of the factors only. So those people that are getting cancer and saying, "Oh, but I never smoke. Oh, but I'm always eating. Or oh, I didn't do this. Or I didn't drink alcohol." Or that, there's, like I said, cancer is a multifactorial situation that you have to try to take control as many risks as you possibly can in order for you to lower your risk. There's no such thing when it comes to cancer. We say prevention. Go and get all the testing that you're supposed to do. The medical field said that when you go and get your mammogram, when you get to get your blood test, that's prevention. For me, and for the holistic field, that's not really prevention. That's more detecting things early, so that you can do something about it. Prevention is what you can do to take control of all these risks. As much as you lower your risk of getting it, that's the part of that you're really preventing. Okay? So let's go to the next one. So what are another factor are the constitutional characteristics of physiology. What is the physiology of that person? For example, do you have digestive issues and your microbiome imbalance? You know that 60 to 70% of your immune system is in your microbiome, it's in your gut. So if your gut is not working properly, okay, that means the immune system is not working properly, and the immune system will not be able to do the job of taking the pathogens that are affecting the cells, making sure they identify the cells that are damaged and things like that. They won't be able to do none of that because your gut is not working right. Okay. Another thing is that when your gut is not working right, okay, you're not absorbing all the minerals and vitamins and phytonutrients and macronutrients that you need, okay, for the cells to do all the processes that they need to do. And when they're missing something, every process, every enzymatic process, every metabolic process, every hormonal process that happen in your body, every chemical process, molecular process that happen in your body need nutrients, different nutrients in order to go through. When they're missing a nutrient, then that cascade of get disrupted, and then dysfunction, imbalances, malfunction happens, and then damage happens. So that's why it is important to take care of our gut. For example, when you have leaky gut, that's the worst thing that you can do when it comes to the risk of cancer. Because when you have leaky gut, remember that leaky gut means that your intestines are inflamed. And because they're inflamed, okay, the junctions in the walls of the intestine that's supposed to be like a colander, that letting only the nutrients to pass to the blood, but not the garbage. The garbage is supposed to go down to the colon to become feces. But sometimes those junctions are not too small. They get stretched because of the inflammation. And what happened? And now pieces of undigested food, pathogens that were in the food that could have been taken out to the feces are going to pass in. Even feces, part of the feces could pass in there, and then they pass into your bloodstream, and then they're going to be traveling to your body, stopping you who knows where, causing inflammation, because now your immune system is going to say, what, that doesn't belong there. What is that? The problem with the inflammation is, like I said, is that they damage everything else around it. Inflammation is like, for example, let me give you a picture here. Let's say that you see two people fighting, okay, and there's a group of people all around the people that are fighting, looking at the people fight, okay. So that's the damage cells they're fighting. Okay, you can let's say if you were natural inflammation, you were good inflammation, you would go there and separate them. Okay, but that's not what inflammation does. Inflammation go and throw a bomb, nuclear bomb there. Now the inflammation don't only kill the two that are fighting, but it kills the people around it, and then damage everything even further out. That's what inflammation does to our body. Okay, and causing more damage into the cells, and damaged cells that are not being able to get out of the body properly through apoptosis or fixed by autophagy. What happened? They become cancer. So that's why it's very important for us to have a healthy digestive system and microbiome balance. That means that you're taking prebiotics, you're taking probiotics. If you need digestive enzymes in order to digest your food correctly, you do that. Whatever you need to make sure that your digestive system is working in optimal health. The next thing is that you want to correct any deficiency. Okay, any deficiency in any mineral, in any vitamins, and any antioxidants. And when I say correct deficiency, also some people take more than they're supposed to. So you want to correct. If you're taking too much of something that you didn't supposed to, Do that, and then correct the ones that are deficient, so that your body have every tool that the body needs. The minerals, the micronutrients are like the tools that cells need in order to work. Okay? So you make sure that you are correcting all deficiency. I was surprised when I was doing my research. This is something that I didn't know, that I learned now when I was doing the research for this particular teaching, is that when you talk about iodine, people think about the thyroid. You know, we always think iodine, they add it to salt so that we can have it for the thyroid. But do you know that iodine is needed in every glandular tissue? And the work of iodine is to keep the architecture, okay, of the glandular tissue. So what are glandular tissues? Like your breast, like your ovaries, like your pancreas, like your spleen. Okay, those are glandular tissues. So we only take in a certain amount of iodine only to cover our thyroid, but we forget all the other tissue. Do you know that the woman that has fibrocystic breasts, that means that the breasts are fibrocystic because they have a deficiency in iodine, because iodine is not there to correct the structures, and that's why when you have cysts in your ovaries, that means that you have a deficiency in iodine. Okay, because the iodine is not keeping the structure, so those cyst forms. The same thing happened to the breast. So if you want to correct the fibrocystic breast, because the fibrocystic breast is a precursor for breast cancer, okay, then the best thing for you to do is making sure that you iodine. But the thing about iodine is that they put iodine in salt. Okay, and what they did, what the medical field did, salt is bad because salt raises your blood pressure. You don't need salt, don't eat salt. So a lot of us, okay, especially if we have a incident of high blood pressure, we're not eating any salt. So that means that we're really depleted with iodine, especially if we're not eating, like algae and fish and things like that, things that have iodine. So it's very important that that's one of them. But if I tell you about what every vitamin, that's another class. Okay, and for the sake of time, I just wanted to tell you that because it's a discovery that I did that I didn't know, and I have fibrocystic breasts, so I needed to know that. And then suppress or malfunction immune system. When the immune system is not functioning properly, then it's not going to catch the bacteria, it's not going to catch the pathogens, it's not going to catch the damaged cells. Apoptosis is not going to happen. So it's very important for us to have a boost immune system. If you suffer of autoimmune disease, okay, immune disease causes damage to the area that you have the disease. Causing damage, that means that it damages the DNA of the cells in the area that will eventually can cause cancer. Not to mention that the medications that they give to people that suffer autoimmune disease, because remember, autoimmune, they're saying that the immune system is attacking the cell, so they are immune system suppressants. So now the immune system is suppressed, so the cancer stem cells and damaged cells are luring all your body without anybody, checking on them, because the immune system is suppressed. So that's another thing. So if you suffer an autoimmune disease, keep it under control as much as you can by your diet and exercise and life factors, like exercising and diet and sleeping and eating things that are anti-inflammatory. So that way you don't need so much immunosuppressants or medication. That way you'll be able to lower your risk of cancer. The other thing is cellular dysfunction. Cellular dysfunction, like the senescent cells, for example, that's a cellular dysfunction. When you're not getting the vitamins and the minerals that you need, and the cells is dysfunctioning, eventually they're going to cause damage to the DNA. And when the damage to the DNA happens, then cancer can happen if apoptosis is not happening. So that's another thing that you have to take care of. Excess sugar and high insulin is another factor. Sugar, why? Because that regular cells feed themselves with fats, proteins, and carbohydrate. But the cancer cell, they love sugar. They can still use the protein and the fats too, but they use mostly sugar to do the rapid multiplication. Plus, sugar make your body environment acidic, and acidic environment cause more damage to the cells and cause more cancer. So that's the reason why we need to lower the sugar. Another thing is that high insulin. When you have high insulin, that means that you have high sugar, no? So the insulin take the sugar to the cell, but now you have insulin resistant, that the sugars is not going to the cells anymore. So now when you have high insulin, means that you have insulin resistant. I mean, the sugar is not going inside the cells, so the cells are not getting the energy and the fuel that they need to do all the processes, so they eventually get damaged, and it can cause cancer. So that's another thing that you need to make sure. Another thing that you have to make sure is free radicals and oxidative stress. Remember what I explained before, what oxidative stress is. Oxidative stress is when we eat, when we put things in our skin, when we put things in our hair, when we smell things, when we spray things, when we wash our clothes, every chemical that we're exposed to and everything that we eat, everything that we think, that we see, everything that we consume through our five senses, they get metabolized in every cells. And then when the metabolism happens, the end up product is a free radical. So what the free radicals does is that eventually, little by little, as most free radicals you get, it damages the cell. And when the cell is damaged, it's called oxidative stress. So what happened with oxidative stress? Once again, it changed the integrity of the cell. Now it doesn't look like a cell that belongs there anymore, and the immune system is going to go there and attack it, and inflammation happen, and then here goes disease. You start with a chronic disease, and then when that get worse and worse and worse, it can become a cancer. Okay, so that's why controlling free radicals, you do that by eating a lot of antioxidants. Our bodies make antioxidants, okay, like glutathione, for example, but sometimes the overload of the things that we're eating and the things that we're exposed to is too much for the organ, and we need to do a detox to help remove those things that can damage the cell. So when we cannot do it, then we need to do things. We need to consume more antioxidants, and we need to do things that help the body produce more of their natural antioxidants. And there are things, natural products out there that can help your cells to produce more antioxidants. Then we have chronic inflammation, like I explained you before, what chronic inflammation is. The chronic inflammation is the first response that your immune system have against bacteria, pathogens, abnormal cells, and all that kind of stuff. The first thing that they do is inflammation. But when that inflammation, which is normal, because if you cut yourself, the first thing that it does, inflammation go up there, swell the area, make sure that kill the bacteria around it, and then you know how quickly you heal. But when that process is continual, that means that inflammation, that swelling, everything is going in your body continually, is damaging your cells. So that means the body is sending nuclear bombs all over the place, damaging the cells. And that, when the cells are damaged, when the immune system is no longer working right, all those things together are going to cause, okay, the cancer. Now, like I said, suffering from a chronic disease and hormone imbalances is also a problem. Do you know, another thing that I forgot to mention before when I mentioned the iodine is, in order to build and create hormones, you need two things: cholesterol and iodine. So now people are not eating salt. That is where you have most of the iodine, because they tell them that salt is bad. Okay, and then people are not taking cholesterol and taking cholesterol medication because they're telling that cholesterol is bad. So then we are wondering why we suffer so much hormone imbalances, especially women after menopause. Why are we suffering so many hormone imbalances? Because we're lacking the iodine, we're lacking the right amount of cholesterol. Okay, we're lacking we are having too much free radical, we're having too much inflammation, and all those things are going to be causing problems into the cells that eventually, when are not corrected, it causes cells damage, because the cells are not receiving the hormones that they need to function the way that they need to function, and it's going to cause cancer. And when you have a chronic disease, you're already causing continual damage. A chronic disease is inflammation in that particular area. If you have arthritis, that means that you have inflammation in your joints. If you have Alzheimer's, Parkinson, MS, you have inflammation in the neurons in the brain. Okay. If you have fibromyalgia, that means that you have inflammation in the cells of your muscles. Okay. So that's going to cause, if not corrected, it can go to become a cancer. And I already mentioned acidic, in an acidic environment, and the lack of oxygen. When you don't have enough oxygen, remember, oxygen is what makes ATP. ATP is the molecule that gives us energy so you can move and do the things that you need to do. So if you're not receiving enough oxygen because you're smoking, because you're vaping, because you're not breathing properly, taking deep breath, okay, then the cell is not getting enough oxygen. If it doesn't get enough oxygen, enough energy, damage inside the cells start happening, okay? And that goes into inflammation, and it goes into cancer. And then the last one is infections, viral infections, bacterial infection. When you get an infection, you know that the immune system is going to attack the area and where is infected. And that inflammation, if it continues and it's not corrected, because sometimes we don't take the proper medication, or the length of the medication that we're supposed to be taking, antibiotic completely, or is a bacteria, for example, mononucleosis. Mononucleosis, you get it when you're young, okay, and it's corrected, but it's a virus that lingers in some cells, okay, and then when it lingers in some cells, in the long run, it can cause Epstein-Barr, and that can be the root cause of any immune disease, because now the immune system is attacking the cells, okay, it's attacking the cells that have the Epstein-Barr, thinking that, that it's more, that the whole cell is damaged, and like I said before, you're going to damage the whole area. And how is the autoimmune disease coming? So when you have any type of infection that is not corrected, increase your risk of getting cancer, okay? So these are the physiological factors. Let's go to the next. The environmental factors. What are the environmental factors? There are toxins. You have pesticides and herbicides are added to our foods, artificial colors, flavors, sugar substitutes like Equal and all those carcinogens, a sexy amount of sugars. Remember, I told you before that they have given sugar up to 50 names. There are things and chemicals that act like sugar, like maltodextrin. If you go to anything, even the sugar-free things, this is another crazy thing. Even the sugar-free, they put maltodextrin, because maltodextrin in turns is not really a sugar, but act totally like a sugar, and even worse, because it's bad for, and it can be a carcinogen, and it's bad for our body. And everything have maltodextrin. I mean, when I tell you everything, almost everything, dressing, cereal, fat-free stuff, sugar-free stuff, everything have maltodextrin. So, that's another thing. Vegetable oils, all those oils like canola oil, sunflower oil, the Crisco, Masola, all those that you see, Wesson, all those that you see in the supermarket, all those also have is a toxic for our body. Synthetic ingredients, a lot of synthetic ingredients, and nowadays even in our food, synthetic is now they're making fake meat. That's synthetic. It was not created by God. I mean, of course, the materials that they use are created by God. I mean, everything that is in this world is created by God, but God didn't create that to be meat. Okay, He didn't create that to be meat. And now they're making all this, so all that stuff in our food, and then our animals, that they have antibiotics and hormones. That hormones are going to create hormone imbalances in us. That's why girls are getting puberty so early. And you have girls as early as 8 years old getting their period already. Why? Because if they're meat eaters and they eat meat that have the whole bunch of hormones and estrogen and things like that, that's going to cause, because estrogen is the culprit of many cancers, especially breast cancer. Okay, so that's going to cause the girls, to get to puberty early. And let me tell you something: all the factors that get you to get a cancer in your life, whether you get a cancer as a child, as a young adult, or as an older adult, those factors start in uterus. That means it starts when you're in the belly of your mama, depending on your mama, what your mama eating and stuff like that. And it also make a difference if you're born naturally or you're born in C-section. When you're born naturally, you're exposed to certain bacteria, good bacteria, that is in the microbiome of the vagina, that is good for you, and that you're not getting when you are born by C-section. So all these things are accumulating through life. Those are things that you cannot control, but there are other things that you can control. All the chemical toxins and endocrine disruptors you find in fragrances, all these people, oh, I eat healthy, I don't know what, I get sick, I'm always healthy, and I eat healthy, I exercise, I buy everything organic, blah 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 blah. But they like perfumes, and they like body sprays, and they like nice creams, and they like relaxers for the hair, and the glue that they put the wigs on, and all the other stuff that they put on. Those are toxins that every single thing that touch your skin, every single thing that touch your skin is absorbed, okay, within 26 seconds, and it's going to your bloodstream and increasing your toxic load. Okay. And for example, also, I forgot to mention when I was talking about pesticides and herbicides, you know that they're using that glucophage in the land to kill, the little animals that can eat the food. All that is coming into our system. There's a lot of cereals, for example, that have a lot of that. Okay, and there's also atrazine that they put it into the plants to kill the weed, and that also, there's a, when I was doing the research, there was this girl that she was like the example of health, and she was born in a farm. Okay, so she eat from the farm to the table. She exercised. She was healthy as a rock. When she was 25 years old, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Okay, and she was asking herself, how did I get breast cancer? When she was doing the research, because she wanted to know how she got it, because I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do nothing, I eat right, I'm a vegan, all that. What happened was that when she did research back, the father was using atrazine for the farming. But he did the family part of the farming, what the family was eating, he put it in a separate area. But the soil was already contaminated, and it was coming into the food. Okay, and she was having high levels of atrazine in her body. Okay, another thing that caused the breast cancer, for example, is the aluminum in our deodorants. Okay, so everything that we put, cream, lotions, shampoo, if you can create those things at home, there's a lot of DIY recipes that you can find online, that so you to create things naturally. You can use one ingredient for a lot of things. Coconut oil, you can put coconut oil to moisturize your hair, as a hairdresser, as a hair treatment, as a skin, as to remove your makeup. Okay, to moisturize your skin. Can use it to wash your teeth. Okay, you can eat it to make sure that your cells in your brain will be good and you don't suffer of dementia. You can cook your food with it. Okay, there's a lot. You can use it to lose weight. I mean, there's a lot of, that's one ingredient, and you don't have to use everything else. Okay, that's for an example. So you have to try to remove all those chemicals. Another thing that people don't think about is the candles and the air fresheners like Febreze and all that kind of stuff that you put in your house to make your house smell good, and all those cleaning products that you use. I remember when I was small, when you come to my mommy's house, there was that ingredient in Puerto Rico that we used to clean the house, Lestoy. It was called Lestoy, and your house always smelled like Clorox and Lestoy. If you didn't use that, your house was not clean. Okay, and that means that I was exposed to all that. And then you wonder why later in life, because things don't happen right away when you get exposed. Sometimes it happens depending on the condition of your body, but most of the time it's through the time and accumulation in your body of the toxins and things like that. Another thing is medications. Every medication that you take have side effects causing damage to your body. Every medication, the way that it works is that they block a pathway in order so you don't feel that symptom, so you don't get no more headaches. It closed a pathway so you don't get no more headache. But that pathway is essential for a bunch of other functions. But now you block it. So you block it, now you're getting damage in the cell. So avoiding taking medication, that means that now, because Aida said not take medication, you're going to stop all your medication. No, because some medications are life-saving and you need it. If you are not doing anything, or your condition is so severe that you need to stabilize it first with medication, then continue with your lifestyle, you need the medication. So don't go now and stop all the medication because Coach Ida said to do so. No, I'm letting you know that needing medication. So now take all the precautions that you need to lower your risk of needing medication. Plus all the illegal drugs that people take in the streets And over-the-counter drugs as well also cause damage. For example, we love to take medications for gastric reflux. Stop taking that. That also is causing damage. And then, radiation, vaping, and smoking. You already know all of that. Let's go to the next. Lifestyle factor. We all know that. Sedentary lifestyle, if you don't exercise, what doesn't move, get stuck and get putrefied. So you know that we need to exercise. Poor diet. We have talked about diet, and we're going to go deeper in next week about diet. Toxic relationship, because that brings stress. So people that take out your energy, okay, toxic relation, people that are causing trauma into your life, you have to keep it as far as possible. Smoking and alcohol is a given. You know that it's not good. And now they, used to say taking one drink a day was good. Not at all. One sip of alcohol can damage cells. Okay. Lack of rest and sleep. We already talked about that. If you're not sleeping right, autophagy is not happening. Repairing your cells and cleanup is not happening. Okay. Poor stress management, negative attitudes. If you have a negative attitude, okay, that's going to be in your mind, and your mind is sending information to your cells. So now, because you have negative attitude, the cells is going to be lower the functions. And if you lower the functions, then it's not going to function in optimal health, causing eventually damage to your cells, inflammation, and so on and so forth. Lack of purpose. When people doesn't know who they are and what they were created for, they live in constant stress, and also careless about how to take care of themselves because they have nothing to live for. And of course, lack of spiritual life. You need to be connected to your creator. It is important for us to be connected with our creator. Okay, let's go to the next one. Mental factors. Chronic stress, like I said, overwhelm, childhood traumas, fear and phobia, all these traumas that you can get, okay, because of childhood trauma, because you lost a family member, a stress. And let me tell you something. What can be trauma for one person might not be trauma for another person. Okay, some people can handle problems differently than others. But if you cause traumas, if you cause overwhelm in yourself, it's gonna cause stress. And if you cause stress, okay, it's gonna make your cortisol to elevate. The cortisol is going to create inflammation. All the energy are going to be lower the energy to your intestines. I mean, your intestines not working right, not giving the nutrients to the cell. Okay, and it's going to lower the function of every cell to be the lowest it possibly can. And when you're not working yourself to optimal potential, then you are not going to get health. What you're going to get is disease. So that's and damage in the cells. So that's why it's so important for us to make sure that we are taking care of our mental health as well. Okay, procrastination, that brings stress, because then you're doing everything at the last minute, try to make sure that everything, so you're in constant stress. It's a bombarded stress at the end of the day, trying to do everything fast. All that is going to bring that into your body. Now go to the next one. And the next one is the spiritual factors. I want to read this Bible verse so you understand this. Spiritual factor, I put there: anger, revenge, jealousy, unforgiveness, ungratefulness, lack of prayer, lack of medication, lack of devotion, not knowing who you really are, lack of purpose, lack of peace, lack of knowledge and understanding of the kingdom. Okay, all that. Do you know that the scientists had these studies, and people that pray, okay, they have faster healing and less time in the hospitals? People that pray, is scientifically proven. People that attend a church, or they are serving in the kingdom, serving in any religion in the world, have more hope and more faith, tend to live longer and get sicker less. And when they do get sick, they heal faster. That's what also scientifically proven. But if you go to Philippians 4, verse 6-7, it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your heart and mind in Christ Jesus." Do you see that? Guard your heart and your mind. Usually when the Bible talk about your heart, it's talking about your mind. But in this particular verse, he separated. He said, your heart, guard your heart and your mind. Meaning that when you have God, your mind is going to be in peace. Okay, and your heart is going to be guarded. And your heart is where take the nutrients to all the body, make sure the cells are working, taking the oxygen to the cells, a very, very essential part of the body for the whole body to work. And usually the main cause, and is the first cause of death in the world. So that having God is essential. Having God is essential. And let me expand a little bit on forgiveness. When you don't forgive people, okay, it's like trying to put venom to other person, but you're the one dying, and you are remembering the trauma over and over again every single time you see that person, every single time that you remember. That's why forgiveness is essential. That's why the word of God said, when the disciple was asking Jesus how many times we need to forget, Jesus says 70 times 7. That means that we have to forget all the time, not only for the sake of the other person, but much more for the sake of you, your health, your state of mind, okay, and your relationship with God. So you can go to the next one. So if you want to prevent cancer, the best thing that you can do is lower your risk of the factors you have to control of that cause cancer. And the factors that you cannot control, then just leave it to God. Make sure that you do your annual checkups so you know what's going on in your body. So you know that if you have a deficiency, you can prevent it. If you have a leaky gut, you can fix it. If you have a disease, you can control it. Make sure that you do that. Adopt a healthy lifestyle and a healthy weight. When we are overweight, that means that our fat cells sustain more toxins like fat, okay? And they live longer in fat. So the bigger that we are, the more toxins that we retain in our body, and the more estrogen that we retain in our body, because the fat cell need estrogen to grow. So that's one thing that we want to make sure we prevent. Make sure that you use organic self-care and cleaning products in your house as much as you can. Create yours. Prevent inflammation, prevent oxidative stress, prevent getting chronic diseases. If you already suffer of a chronic disease, make sure that you work into going into remission or getting reversed. Make sure that you pray, that you laugh, that you forgive, that you be grateful, that you build relationships and with God, that you make your relationship with God. So the key is lowering your risk as much as you can. So if you follow these things that I've been talking to you about, and you lower the risk, then you lower the risk of you having cancer. And not only cancer, but most of the things that you do to control cancer are the same things that you need to do to reduce also chronic disease. So I hope this information help you, that you take enough notes, that you take a copy of the slides, and that you put it to practice in your life. Because getting knowledge is good, but making sure that get understanding is even better. But once you get the knowledge and understanding, the best thing is to put it to practice, and that is wisdom. And that's what I want to give you today. Thank you so much, and I see you next Tuesday with the foods, supplements that will help you with cancer.